Welcome, everyone. This is a public meeting of the West Bend School District and School Board Curriculum Committee. It is 4:30 p.m. on April 22nd, 2025, and we will start with introductions. I'm Melanie Ergott, School Board Member.
June Kruger, School Board Member.
Kelly Lang, School Board Member.
Heather Isaacson, Program Administrator.
Kelly Downs, Curriculum Coordinator.
Jen Wimmer, Superintendent.
Erin Faust, Program Administrator.
Tina Van Roo, District Assessment Coordinator.
All right, so our first item up for discussion today, or first presentation, is Career and Technical Education Course Resources, and that will be presented by Timothy Harder.
Good afternoon, everybody. So as you know, when I come to the Curriculum Committee and to the board, our process in career and technical education is a little bit different. How we start our process in making changes to our curriculum, along with our resources and learning experiences. And so today's focus is really about updating some resources for our CTE classes aligned to Moraine Park's changes in their curriculum. And so we often work with advisory committee members, local businesses, and Moraine Park. Today's pieces of feedback on resources are specifically coming from Moraine Park so that we can continue to offer their courses on our campuses here at the high school. And so we have a few classes that need some updated resources to go with them. The first course is our Technical College Credit Video 2 course. And so within that course, they teach both video production, the aspects of producing video, but also post-editing and editing on a computer, and they use the software Adobe Premiere Pro. So in that case, you see two updated versions of resources that we use today. The first one is more about pre-production and going out and shooting your video, planning your video, and so forth. And then the second resource that's recommended, the Adobe Premiere Pro, is a resource book around how to use the current software that exists. So Adobe Premiere Pro is a nationally, internationally recognized video editing software used by those in the business and industry. And so with that tied to software, often we have to upgrade those resources a little faster to keep current with what's out used in business and industry. The second course that you'll see updates suggested to you this evening is our Accounting 1 and Accounting 2. Both are technical college credit classes, and previously the board had approved us going from 3 courses down to 2 courses to help meet the needs of our students and allow them to capitalize their time earning their college credits. And so with that, we utilize the same 3 resources and components of them through both courses that we offer here, and kids can get credit for both courses through Moraine Park Technical College. The first one is called Fundamentals of Accounting, or Fundamental Accounting Principles by Wild and Shaw. And then there are 2 resources that if you were to pick them up physically, they're going to look a little bit more like a novel, the way that they read. And they are Business Acumen and working in the business environment and so forth. And they use aspects of both of those books around QBQ. And then part of it is basically the question behind the question. How do I work in accounting? How do I work in the business atmosphere and dig deeper to make sure that our programming, our work that we're doing is up to where it should be and working in that business environment? So there's really 2 parts to our technical college classes. There's the technical aspect pieces to it, but then there's also some in essence, standards or skills that our students have to meet around just career readiness practices, and that's what those books hit on. Sometimes it's a simple thing like showing up on time and responding nicely. This is about really that working in the business culture and what that is like for our students, because they don't experience that in our school environment every single day. The third class that you will see a suggested resource update this evening is a program that we use for the assessment side currently. However, now we want to use their curriculum. And so it is called Test Out Microsoft Office Pro. And this is the curriculum that would align with our computer literacy course. And this is a course where our students can earn college credit around numerous amounts of Microsoft Office products while in high school. Our students go through the curriculum, and then at the end, they can become certified in each one of those softwares. And the board has heard before in this committee about the CT incentive grant. That is a way that the state incentivizes our students and districts to offer those incentives. That comes in a way of funding to support our CTE program. The curriculum that's being presented is something that not only Moraine Park uses, but is also a curriculum that aligns directly with the Microsoft Office certification program that we have to use under that state grant. And so this is a way that we can bring funding back in and use the exact same product of prep that the students are actually going to test on when they get to the end of their course. The next course that's recommended is really 3 courses. We have a suite of 3 automotive courses, 1, 2, and 3, and we use the same resource through all of them, so does Moraine Park. It is called Fundamentals of Automotive Technology, and this is a book that we are working with Moraine Park on. It has a digital version. It can integrate into R and there. They also have the same learning management system, Canvas. And for the first time ever, we're looking at some collaborative purchasing between Moraine Park and us on the digital side of things. So you'll see that in the expenditure side or the budget side of this. But this would be the first update for their resources, probably in the last 8 years. So we're looking forward to using some of those newer technologies that our students are exposed to and getting up to some of the newer technology at that point that may be embedded in those resources. As we look at estimated costs, so there are 2 funding mechanisms that we use to support our curricular work in CTE. Number 1 is just our district career and technical education budget. The second is that CT incentive budget, and that's the money that we bring then back from those grants through that grant process when our students become certified. So every fall, Brenda O'Brien and myself go through the process of certifying all those kids in an online system. We sign off, then they send about, I think, 85 different emails to make sure you put them all up there and everything's checked out. But in some cases, it can come back as $500-600 a kid. And we often will bring back a large chunk of money that we can use to support buying next year's assessments and offer them free to our kids. Not every district does that. And also enhance our programming. So we would use a combination of both of those budgets. And you can see the quantities of each item. Majority of them are majority of them are paper copies at this time till you get down to the bottom 2. The test out software is a yearly seat cost where we'd have approximately 75 seats for our students to access that at. And then currently, I gave you the pricing for the paper copy of the automotive technology book. As I mentioned, we're looking at some ways to work with Moraine Park where we can buy the digital resources directly through them, through the vendor versus us going to the vendor. They buy in a lot more resource numbers than we do, so hopefully that can drive some of our prices down. And then the other thing that we often offer our staff here is the ability to have some time to prep and bring these new resources into the system. And so that can be a variety of things for our CT staff. That can be working collaboratively with those who teach the course. It can be working with business people, and it can also be going up and working with Moraine Park staff or them coming on our campus as we work to integrate some of those new things. And so you'll see an estimated number of hours after talking to our team of what that would look like here. So all in, if this goes through the whole process and we approve each of the resources up there, we're looking at roughly $41,000 that would come out of both of those budgets over time, which would be expenditures for next school year at that point. Our next goal in the process, if the committee would agree, is we would put these out for public viewing, both here and at the public library. We're going to continue that conversation with Moraine Park about ways to purchase those resources, and if we can find a better way to get the digital resources at a reduced cost, or even the paper copy of that autos book, and then we would eventually come back to the full board and present that feedback and the recommendations for approval. So I'll answer any questions.
All right, thank you. I guess just the only question, cost-wise, like there's money in the budget to cover all the materials?
Yep, so typically we will, I would say in this case right now, we're early in the budgeting, but we'll look at probably 30% of that 70% of it coming from our CTE budget. There are things that we try to do add-ons or enhancements with that we will look at through our CT incentive money, so we also meet that grant purposes, but between the both, yes, we could easily cover those.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. The next item, or the next presentation we have is on math, 6 through 12 resource review and the primary resource recommendation, and that will be presented by Kelly Downs.
Hello, it's nice to see you again. Again, our goal for the 612 resource review was to ensure that our primary curriculum resources provided all students and teachers the opportunity to achieve at high levels. The team put forth this option that we believe will get us there. It is illustrative math for 6 all the way through 12. Remember, though, that we have 2 different vendors for this. We have Imagine Learning for 6th through 8th grade, and we have Kendall Hunt for the upper level. The rationale was rooted in a lot of these understandings. They felt that the illustrative math had great conceptual understanding, would increase our student engagement. We were aligned with the standards. In fact, illustrative math was actually created by one of the people who created the standards. There was really great support resources. We have spiral review and homework to keep skills fresh. There's a coherence between the middle school and high school, which was very important to our team. Once those math routines are established, that just saves a lot of time and energy and gets us back to the math. There is also differentiated supports for both EL, SPED, advanced pacing, all built within this program. And again, the reason we went with the two different platforms, the high school really liked that Kendall Hunt had a better ability to handle those higher level equations that they needed. And the middle school really liked that platform to be the targeted practice assignments, the cool downs, the data tracking. They thought that would be more powerful for their grade level. Again, it's the same curriculum. If you opened up both workbooks, they'd be the same. It's the platforms that look different. So the last time I was here, we had asked if we could go to public viewing, and we did do that. The materials were on display from March 31st through April 13th. And they were here and at the West Bend Public Library. We had no one recorded that came to view the materials, and no one filled out the survey. So we don't have any feedback to offer you that way. In this interim time frame, though, we've been hard at work planning in case this does get approved. How will we implement this? We wanted a very robust program to support the teachers in putting this in place. So after gathering feedback from both our team and the larger staff, we are in the process of putting together a plan. It essentially has these 4 buckets. There's going to be an initial training that'll be 4 days in August for teachers. We will have 3 hours for the administrators, and we're hoping to get some aid training time in there as well, because this is a different program. A lot of aides want to come in and just jump right in and show kids how to do things. In a problem-based program, you've got to let that develop, and they need to know where they are in the process so they can support appropriately. The days in August, we're real happy that we were able to fulfill the request of teachers to make sure we have unit planning time. So we will have Sarah Brown there, myself, Kurt Marquardt. We will all be there supporting them as they go and dig into that unit the first time and really have it ready to go by the time school starts. In addition to that, we will have PD throughout the school year. We will have 3 release days, and the reason we have 3 release days is there are 8 units, and we have 5 PD days that we were going to use for the units. So we needed 3 more. So we have 3 release days extra for grade levels. They will be released at separate times so that they can dig in, collaboratively plan the unit with support so that they're ready to go with each unit. Additionally, we're going to continue our coaching that we have done with Math Insights and the Math Institute. We have begun that. They have developed great relationships with teachers, and we're seeing this willingness to learn and wanting to learn more from them. So we're going to be utilizing that coaching with coaches they already know to support the implementation of this new resource. In addition to that, the administrators are going to be participating in walkthroughs with either myself, Kurt, our instructional coach, or Sarah Brown. And we're going to be walking with them so that they know how to look at a math lesson and what they should be looking for in order to calibrate. Finally, we're going to be really utilizing those PLCs. Those professional learning communities really are the engine of teaching and learning and of instruction. So our PLC leaders are going to be receiving training in August. We have teacher leaders that we've worked with this past year. We trained them, we supported them through the year in leading their PLCs, and we're going to be doing the same thing this year. We're envisioning, as PLCs are unit planning and responding to data, we're going to be honing in on that a lot and continuing the unit planning if they need more support, and then getting that data from kids and learning how to respond within this curriculum to that data. In addition to that, we're going to have regular check-ins for those PLC leaders. Last year, some of the feedback we got from them is that they really enjoyed our training time. They wanted more time with each other. So we're going to do some quarterly check-ins with those team leaders to see, how's it going? What can we learn from each other to better support our PLCs? From there, the cost. Our 1-year cost, this is for a 1-year contract. You can see the breakouts there for each one of the platforms as well as our implementation costs. However, this is just a one-year contract. This goes to the business administration and they will negotiate the contract with them. And there's some options on the table for a 3-year and a 6-year, which have the potential for bringing the cost down. The approval process timeline I've been updating you on as we've gone along. And I stand here today wanting to request the recommendation to move forward to the board so that we can have the discussion and then the final approval. I again want to highlight this amazing team. These people gave up lots of time, lots of expertise, are incredibly passionate about their content, our students, and having the absolute best for them. So they really gave it their all. So I just want to make sure we keep bringing their names back up. And finally, our goal, reflecting on this process, I feel like this really will do it. Our team really feels that we will be able to support our students and our teachers at high level with this resource. Do you have any questions?
I'll just ask you the same question I'd asked him to. Budget-wise, I'm sure this is planned ahead, right? That there's money tucked away for when we have to replace this kind of curriculum. So that's already planned for?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oops. All right, well, thank you for your presentation. And then we will move on to the next one here.
The next one is me as well.
And that one is you as well. So this is Advanced Placement Pre-Calculus Primary Resource and Curriculum Recommendation.
So if you remember back in 2023, there was a change. We had honors pre-calculus, and we now had the opportunity to make that an AP pre-calculus course. And our team vetted the resources. We had approval to go ahead and dig in and run it as a pilot, which we did. And this past year, in 2024, we adjusted that honor pre-calculus to AP pre-calculus according to that course and exam description, which is what AP courses require. They piloted the resource called Mathematic AP Pre-Calculus by Sarah Stecker, and they went and wrote the curriculum. So I'm just going to pull up this curriculum document here so you can kind of take a look at what that looks like. Maybe I won't. Should I do that on here? It's not going to take it, is it? Do I have to go through that whole thing? Okay, sorry. That's what I thought it would. Oh, and that too. Why not? Oh, I know why, because Ashley, it's signed in under you, isn't it? Does that matter? I just don't know why it's not taking. Can you? That would be lovely. Thanks, Tina. So once you're all on, I can kind of walk you through. I just want to give you an overview of what these documents look like for the curriculum. You're going to be seeing a lot more of them in the future, so we just want to make you familiar with them. So you can take a look at how we have, this is basically the entire unit plan, all the unit plans for the entire year for AP Calc. We have the course overview, there's units, the estimated amount of days, what the primary resource is, any digital tools that are supporting. And as you look at each one of the units, we have the broad units of the goal, of the unit, and essential questions that will be answered as students are interacting with the material. There's enduring understandings and the basic I can statements, which translates our standards, which aren't always written in the most student-friendly language, into language that they can really go, okay, that's what I'm learning, that's what I need to learn today. And at the end of the unit, the students will know and be able to do, and we have that list there. Finally, we have how are we going to assess this? So they've already laid out what those assessments are going to be, both formatively and summatively. And then finally, a learning plan, which includes vocabulary and extra things that kids might need to know. any additional resources, and then differentiated learning strategies, which obviously is such a key to any good teaching. We had that for each one of the units, and you can see the total curriculum. This would be given to anybody that would need to teach this class. The request that I come before you tonight with is that we had brought forth that pre-calc medic as a pilot, and now we are requesting that we continue to use this as the primary resource. So we're wanting to go forward for board approval. So right now, we would like to be able to take this to public viewing and then move it through that process.
All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No?
Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you. All right, our next presentation will be the ELA Grade 5 Primary Resource Recommendation, and this will be presented by Heather Isaacson.
Good evening. Thanks so much for listening this evening. So I'm excited to bring you the Grade 5 English Language Arts Primary Resource Recommendation. So we'll start with our Consistent Literacy Foundation overview. So the reason we're bringing this forward is initially brought last year, we talked a lot about Act 20. That was mandated in 2023 by the Department of Public Instruction and the state mandate. We had our adoption of Amplify CKLA for our K-4 last year, which has gone wonderfully this year. We've had wonderful feedback from it. And then we're proposing to expand Amplify CKLA for grade 5 for a seamless transition into our elementary buildings for next year. Just an overview quickly of the timeline. We brought this recommendation forward in February. We had a staff preview for our 5th grade team in February as well. It went out for public viewing and survey March 10th through the 21st, and then today I'm standing here in front of you to discuss that, and then hoping to go to the board in April and May.
I'm just going to correct that.
Yes, thank you.
That would be top of May discussion, end of May action, as we would line the other piece. So it would be consistent.
Oh, yes.
It would not be in April.
Yep, thank you. I'll correct that when we move forward with it. One of the steps that we have taken this year is to establish a review team for grade 5 in order to complete the final review of the primary resource and recommendations. So that consists of 5th grade ELA teachers, special education and EL teachers on our 5th grade team, literacy specialists for both elementary and intermediate, our elementary and Silverbrook principals, representatives from both Fair Park and Silverbrook, and then 4th grade ELA teachers have partnered with the 5th grade team to give them their just what their experiences and what they have learned about the program this year. They met last week as one of their meetings and had a great conversation about what it looks like and at the 4th grade level and what the 5th grade teachers can expect moving forward. For our public display and survey, that was March 10th through 21st. It went to the public library and the ESC. There were no survey results or public comments, so I don't have anything to share with you on that today. And the recommendation is to adopt Amplify CKLA as our primary resource for English language arts for grade 5. The rationale for that is to maintain the science of reading continuity, the seamless transition for our current 4th graders advancing into 5th grade for 24-25, and then to help that transition as they move into the elementary schools and become a K-5. Questions?
I don't have any questions, but I think it makes sense to bring that continuity through 5th grade while they'll be in the same buildings. And I don't have any problems moving it forward for the next step.
All right, thank you.
All right, and then our next item for presentation is Advanced Placement Government and Law Resource Recommendation, and that will also be Heather Isaacson.
Yes. Again, thank you for listening today. We're to presentation about our AP Government Resource Review. This is presented by myself, and Mark Drake is one of our social studies teachers who's here today. In case you have any questions, he's worked really hard on moving this process forward. Dave Tama is a social studies teacher, and then Leslie Delane, a literacy specialist at the high school, all were involved in the resource review. So the AP Government and Politics course has gone through 2 redesigns in 2018 and 2023 since the last textbook adoption, and they have drastically changed the course content and structure testing. Therefore, it is imperative that they have a new resource in order to accommodate those changes. The current course content, structure, and test questions, in the current textbook do not align with the AP course exam description, and the current course skills in the textbook do not align to the AP course and exam description. So the current textbook that is being used right now, the 2014 Elections and Update edition, is at the 10-year limit for a respected AP primary resource textbook. And according to the AP Government and Politics resource requirements, the school needs to ensure that the teacher has a copy of a recent edition of U.S. Government and Politics college level textbook, and then that our current textbook is not on the online example textbook list as well. So there is an AP College Board example textbook list, and the current version is not included on that list. So the new resource will align to the current AP course and exam and course redesign. It will be more contemporary with their content. Right now, Mark has described that there's no description of the most current presidents in the last 10 years. So students are missing out on that content, and they have to supplement with other resources in order to discuss what's going on currently in politics and government. It will engage students with a more formative assessment option, so teachers are able to formatively assess along the way what students are learning, so that's a better resource for them as well. It will more accurately and comprehensively help with their FRQ writing, and then supply additional study and disciplinary skills. This will lead to increased student engagement, potentially higher passing scores on their AP test. So the book selection and vetting process, Mark Drake, like I mentioned, Dave Tama and Leslie Delane researched and vetted several different resources following the AP U.S. Government Politics books that were all approved on the AP website. And that is the College Board website. That is linked there. And then they also used the AP Social Sciences Resource Vetting rubric. So there is a special rubric just for AP Social Sciences courses that align with everything that they need to ensure that they are compliant with the College Board. So they used that vetting resource to vet the current text. And they also vetted, the current text that is not on the list just as a measurement tool against the 3 other resources that they vetted, so they could see where those differences lie. These are the 4 texts that they vetted: The American Politics and Government by Bianco and Cannon. This is a text that Mr. Drake discovered at an AP Summer Institute with Professor Cannon. So he took that institute with Professor Cannon, who was the author of this resource. And then they also vetted American Government Stories of a Nation for AP course. This is a resource that was identified by Mr. Drake as written by an AP government teacher. And then We the People, An Introduction to American Government by Thomas Patterson. which was a previous edition, noted as a previous edition on the AP web list. And then the last one is the current text that is in use right now. They came to a consensus, the three, so they each did their vetting process. They used the rubric. They vetted all 4 of those resources, and then the team came back together after vetting those resources and came to a consensus of what they wanted to choose as the resource going forward because it had the highest ratings on all of their vetting rubrics. So the AP Gov team came to a consensus that they would like to move forward with American Government Stories of a Nation for the AP course 2nd edition 2025. It met the highest level of criteria. And here is just an example of the Unit 5 from the AP course and description guide. So they are requesting, the AP Gov team is requesting that their selection American Government Stories of a Nation for the AP course 2025 go out to stakeholders for display and review at the West Bend Public Library and the ESC from April 28th through May 9th. Here's a shortened timeline of where we are that in fall and winter of 2025, the team vetted and came to a consensus that we are coming to curriculum committee and would like to go out for a public display. I'm looking for Board of Education approval, discussion and approval in May and June, and then a possible purchase in July and August so that they're ready to bring it to the students for next school year. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with it still being the 2014 version now, is that hindering anyone's testing this year?
I'll let Mark speak to that if you don't mind.
No, because we're awesome teachers and we'll make it work.
I believe that, okay.
I'll go
he was
on
here.
record. He's probably not being picked up. No, because the teachers are highly aware of the expectations, and right now the work is falling to them to supplement and build things to make sure our kids aren't at a disadvantage. So it really is credit to the staff for making sure that doesn't happen, that the resource isn't holding them back.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, and I just have a question. Obviously, politics and government is such a touchy topic, right? I'm assuming that these books are neutral, just explaining, the different sides of things and not persuading in any way to go a certain direction.
Correct, and that's part of that document, that rubric, that there is to be no, it is to be neutral and there is to be no sway left or right.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And this, because of that, and the politics being hot topics sometimes, maybe we'll get a little more people come in to view the resource, whether at the library, those pieces. So we'll continue to promote that for people to come in and review those, take a look at them for themselves, garner any questions, and allows us enough lead time to respond to any feedback that we receive. And again, I have high trust for our staff in executing on a resource in a manner that meets our expectations.
All right, well, thank you for your presentation, and look forward to the next steps.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next item up for discussion is the book club selections, and that will be presented by Erin Faust.
Thank you. So tonight I have English 1, Quarter 4 Book Club for you. They have previously approved several titles for their book club list. This evening, we're looking at just discussing 2 titles that will be added or that they would like to have added for this upcoming remainder of the school year. The first title is a book called Downriver, which has previously been approved and is being used in our contextual English class. Because these 2 courses are foundationally built on the same standards, this is an appropriate book to use in both courses. And by sharing the resource, it does not incur additional cost. We're just repurposing what we already have and broadening access. And the reason that the 2 books are being brought forward tonight is the team has really been looking for multiple options that are NA in all of our vetting categories. So we really have, if that's what families are looking for, you actually have a choice versus a single option. So Downriver would fall into that category. And the other title that is recently added and up for discussion tonight is Anne of Green Gables. And this book also ranks as an A in all of our vetting categories, and also is available to us in unlimited quantities as an ebook due to Project Gutenberg. So no financial implication with this one either. The district does have several paperback copies of this title available already in its collection, so if students really prefer that, we do have options that way as well. So just a reminder for families that all families will received a permission form earlier in the school year where they designated their permission option. Do they want to give blanket permission for the full school year, or do they want to approve unit by unit? So this family, or families at this point, will be receiving the full list, as always, with the information about the titles, but only those families that indicated they wanted to provide permission unit by unit will be expected to provide that permission. And then students in that category who would potentially not return a permission slip would be limited again to these titles that are NA or limited in all three categories, which is why we seek to have multiple opportunities and titles there. Questions about the English 1 title editions?
I don't have any questions, but I'm happy to see some more options on there for people that may be interested in books that have the NA across all three categories. Thank you for that.
And Erin, can we just confirm that these two new books are at the reading level expected for this grade?
They are at the reading level. Sometimes it's a little bit deceiving when you see the age recommendations on the title lists because the content is appropriate for those age levels. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the reading level. So Anne of Green Gables is a book I just read for this process, and I would absolutely say that it is, age appropriate for young students, but it is definitely at a higher reading level than, a 9-year-old. Yep. All right. And then the last item that I just want to share with you this evening is that as the teams continue to teach through their units and revise for best practices, the 7th grade team is really looking to discontinue 6 titles from their current list simply because the books that are remaining on their list better meet the standards. They're better instructional resources. And so in doing that, the 7th grade team had a massively long list already for quarter 4 books. So this also helps them to streamline the options for students a little bit, which helps with their teaching. And then by doing that, we are still leaving 50% of the books on the list as NA in all 3 categories. So it's not really reducing options for students in that category or in that way. And then the titles that are being discontinued are listed here: Untwined, Red Umbrella, Belly Up, Chasing Vermeer, Hope Was Here, and 24 Hours in Nowhere. So families that would be getting those permission slips will see if they had a student last year versus this year, they will just see that those titles have been removed.
All right, well, thank you for that. I do remember some of the lists being pretty long when we went through them initially, so I'm sure that'll make things a little bit easier and more streamlined.
Yes.
Does anybody else have any other questions or comments? No? All right, thank you for that discussion.
So I'll just summarize before you adjourn. Out of tonight's agenda, you have 3 resources going forward for public viewing associated with the CTE, the AP Pre-Calc, and AP Government. And then going to the board to formalize discussion at the board level would be your math and ELA, kind of bringing closure to that process. And then going forward to families are those quarter 4 book lists. To summarize, we had a lot tonight to get through, so.
All right, well, thank you. And if there are no further comments or questions, then I'll go ahead and close the meeting at 5:09 p.m. Thank you, everybody.